Mr. Liu, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Well, back in 2013, China set the goal of eradicating poverty by 2020. What was the strategy and where China stands today?
You know, at that time, China was facing a greater challenge from the poverty situation in China. Because first, China is willing to finish and to realize the goal of the United Nations by 2030, that to have poverty reduction achievements. So at that time, China still have more than 100 million people that are in a very extremist poor situation. So at that moment, that China and the Central Committee of the Communist Party was under great pressure that how to realize all the goals in the shortest time. So at that time, the central government set up the 2020 is our target time that to finish or to reduce all the poverty to zero. That is a great effort. Also, we should say this is a very ambitious plan for the human being. Mm-hmm. So in that time that China has really spent a lot of time and full of efforts that to finish this target. And fortunately, the whole country has unified policy, unified actions and the plan. We have achieved this goal by the end of this year. That means we have now reached to zero extremist poverty according to UN standard.
Well, you mentioned about the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development set by the United Nations. Actually, ending poverty tops the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development of UN. If we look around the world, still there are millions of people struggling to get out of poverty. So, Mr. Liu, do you think the policy developed by China could work in other countries?
Yes, this is a very good question because many foreign friends also ask us that about the possibility whether they can copy the policy of China has already implemented. But I said, in principle, yes, but in concrete that we have different conditions in different countries. All the policies should be combined with the local conditions and the situation. Otherwise, this policy does not work in other countries. So in this way, that they should work out some policies that closely linked with the native and the local conditions and the possibilities. So I think in principle, yes, our policy can be taken over for other countries. For instance, a unified policy for whole country. And the second, unified actions should be taken by whole country. And the third, every country should do its best to facilitate their efforts to eliminate the poverty situation. Of course, there should be also warning that the new poverty problem could be occur according to the economic situation development. So this is how to say a fluctuant, a running time for all countries. We should not follow one model.
Well, up to now, according to government data, 100 million Chinese people have been lifted out of poverty, which is, of course, of great significance. But President Xi Jinping also warned that the unbalanced and insufficient development still exists. Then what is China's next plan to reduce relative poverty?
You know, Mr. Xi Jinping, our president, has warned this imbalance of China's development in different areas and provinces. This is very true and also very crucial for our country to keep the people really out of the poverty. Situation is so different. We have to take different measures in different areas to safeguard this our achievement. So that's why we have to raise our vigilance that's against the new situation, for instance, the natural disaster, or some also, for instance, there's a pandemic influence, whether they can create a new problem for the poverty situation. So by doing so, that China can really be in a good position that to safeguard the interests of the people. Of course, also, we can do a lot to ensure that those people out of policy, they can still remain their better life standard. That means they can really leave the poverty forever.
Then what role do you think the technology can play in this battle against the poverty?
You know, the new technologies, especially for the AI or smarter technology, can be really a very good tools and weapons against the poverty. As we know, in some poor areas, they don't know the information techniques. They don't know what happened outside of the region. That's why they don't have any motivation to get rid of the poverty. So technology can be really used as a best way that to put them out of this poverty. For instance, they can learn some technologies to have a new education, to have more skills, to manage their life, to manage their production. Even they can put themselves in the market system mechanism. They can get rid of the poverty by their own efforts. So technology, especially the smarter technology, will have a greater role in reducing poverty, especially also in safeguarding their own interests.
Well, one last question, Mr. Liu. How can we keep people out of poverty? How can we prevent those people slipping back?
That's really a very crucial question. Many people are still concerned about this situation. Many people always say that, even now say, it's easy to get the people out of poverty, but it's difficult to keep them out of poverty. Really, this is a long-term effort. We should not give up any efforts to struggle against the poverty forever, because the situation is always changing. The challenge always coming, especially the outside challenging international market and also some special problems, natural disasters and other questions could occur, especially for disease for many people. They can make many families to be in poverty again because of the disease. So we have two things that should be done. First, we should have improve our social insurance. So by doing so, that many people have no problem that if they got ill, or if they have some sickness, they can be really guaranteed and safeguarded by the state. And secondly, they should learn more skills and technology. Also, they can develop their own business to improve their living standard. By doing so, I think that people will have no worry about to be back again to the poverty, because they have already very special efforts, very special tools. So first, that the state insurance, that this is very important and crucial. And the second, for personal skill, they have to learn it. By doing so, I think everybody in a safe position.